Hello everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie, and today I'm going to be talking about my least favorite books of 2019. Now, the same disclaimer that everyone has been putting on their videos, these are my least favorite books that I read in 2019, not necessarily all books that were published in 2019. If you are new to my channel, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you want to see more from me, definitely hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new content. But let's get into the books because everyone honestly likes to watch a worst books of the year video. It's a guilty pleasure of ours. The first book I almost cannot believe that I'm putting on this list because I feel like it is just a booktube darling and so well beloved that I might get tons of negative comments on this, but City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I read this book in December and I just couldn't get into it. I didn't love it, obviously. I feel like it was so on the juvenile end of YA that it was almost painful for me to read sometimes. I didn't enjoy the dialogue. I think the character development was kind of flat and extremely predictable, and I didn't really like the main character that much. I think she was very naive. It was like she felt like she should be involved in everything that was happening, but then when stuff happened, she kind of screamed and was just terrified, which is understandable. Like, of course she's going to scream and be terrified, but also she's like, no, I have to go. No, I'm coming. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, we all know what's going to happen. I think that was kind of my main issue with the book, is it just felt so juvenile and not that well developed. I thought the world was a cool idea, and I feel like the concept in itself is not that bad. I just think that the writing style, the way it is, I was expecting a lot more from this book and it just didn't deliver for me. I have heard that the series gets better as it goes along though, so I will be continuing with this series at least for 3 more books. I plan to read the next 2 books in the Mortal Instruments series and then the first one in the Infernal Devices before I decide whether I'm going to DNF this series or not. The next book on this list was honestly a huge disappointment because it got a ton of hype on BookTube and it was in the 2 bookish subscription boxes that I get each month, and that is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Oh, this book. I can't even hardly describe why I dislike this book. I just really didn't like it. I couldn't get into the story. I didn't like any of the characters really. I thought they were kind of annoying or dull, or the bad guy was ridiculously obvious who it was, and so there was absolutely no twist in there. The only character that I liked was Silas the cat. So yeah, if the talking demon cat is the only thing that I enjoyed in the book, I guess that kind of speaks for itself, right? The next book on this list I listened to on Audible, and that is The Goldfinch by Donna Tart. Oh, this book. It was so long and so boring. I literally did not care about the stupid painting. I didn't care one little tiny bit. Like, there was no part of me that wanted to figure out what happens with this boy's life. I seriously just had no investment in what was going on in the story. I thought that the main character was extremely annoying and obnoxious, and I didn't like his friends, and I did like one of his friends. I should clarify, his old man friend that comes in later in the story, I did like him. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. I thought his obsession with the girl was really awkward because she did not feel the same way. It was like, it was just this boy's life story following along with this painting, and I could not care about it. I thought it was so dull, and it wasn't written in a way where you would really want the characters to succeed, which is kind of surprising because I read this book because it won the Pulitzer Prize. I have historically not enjoyed Pulitzer Prize winners, so I figured I need to give it another chance, and this one had been very well received, obviously by critics, but it definitely was not the book for me. I wouldn't recommend it. It was really, really, really stinking long and nothing happened in the majority of the book, so it didn't need to be that long. And it's just, I'm glad I was listening to it on Audible so I could double the speed and just have it go while I was cleaning or doing something else. The next book on this list I read because it was a pick for the Reese Witherspoon book club, and this is the one and only book that I read in that book club. I was very excited to join it, and then this was the book and I was done. And that is The Proposal. I don't know who it's by. Jasmine Guillory? I don't know how to say that name. Very sorry. But this is an adult romance book. It follows a girl who was proposed to at a baseball game. She said no, and it was on national television, so she kind of got a little bit of heat for that. People thought she was horrible for saying no to him. And then there is the guy who rescued her at the baseball game from this by pretending to be her friend. And then after that, they kind of start seeing each other a little bit. Romance ensues. You know how it goes. It's an adult romance. They're fairly predictable, right? Yeah, I didn't really like the characters that much. I liked her okay. I thought she was pretty good, but she wasn't that well developed. And I didn't like the guy that she was seeing. I felt like he was extremely immature and he couldn't take any kind of hit to his ego. He was so cocky, and I just do not enjoy that in a guy. It's not something that I enjoy reading about either. So I didn't like the romance, and when it's a romance story, that's kind of the only thing that there is. And so if you don't like it, you don't like the books. But only good thing is it was a fast read because adult romances tend to be pretty quick. Adult contemporaries, I feel like, are pretty quick in general, and it's not that long. So didn't waste too much time on a book that I really, really did not enjoy. And the last book on this list, and probably the one that I liked the least this year, was Cutting for Stone by Abraham Verghese, I believe is how you say his name. I don't even know where to start with this book. It covers an extremely broad period of time, so it's kind of hard for me to describe what this book is about. But it essentially starts at this hospital in Ethiopia, and this doctor who is there hooks up with this nurse who's there, who's a nun, I think, and then she ends up having twins, and then he leaves and ditches because she dies, and then it's the story of these twins' lives and them growing up and what they do throughout their life. I did not enjoy the writing style of this at all. I thought it was very hard to just get into because of the way it was written. I didn't like this author's descriptions of women. Like every single woman he talked about, he mostly just talked about, like when he was describing her, he'd just talk about her breasts and her attractiveness and that type of thing, which is never something that I enjoy in books. Like, I feel like the women in books have a little more to them than that. And some of the scenes in it were just really weird. I felt like it was kind of gross for the sake of having those gross things in it. I don't know how much it actually contributed to the story. It was just very, yeah. I did not like the main character. I thought he was a jerk. I didn't like his twin. I also thought he was a jerk. I didn't like their dad. I feel like he was a jerk. Like, I didn't like any of the characters in this book, and that just kind of ruins a book for me when all of the characters, I'm like, yeah, I dislike you a lot. The one thing I will say about this book that I found interesting was reading the snippets of history about Ethiopia as I was going through. I thought that was really well done, and it's something that I was intrigued by and that I enjoyed. But yeah, that was about it. Everything else about this book was just hard to get through. I read this for a book club, so that is why I did finish it. Otherwise, I probably would have DNF'd it. And honestly, I kind of wish I would have DNF'd it because one of the scenes towards the end, it's just gonna stick with me, and I wish it didn't. So yeah, those are my least favorite books of 2019. Please let me know down in the comments if any of you have read any of those books, what you think of them. If you loved any of those books, especially the last 3, definitely let me know because I want to know what it is about them that people enjoy. So talk to me down in the comments. Let me know what your least favorite book of 2019 was as well. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!